There's a very famous quote, and I know many of you have heard this quote before, but do you really understand what it means? Because the quote goes like this: life always gives you a second chance, but it never comes in the same package. Now, obviously, life does give us second chances, but what we rarely realize is how different that second chance will be when it arrives. This is the difference between winners and losers. Losers let life pass them by again because they are still holding on to the same beliefs and using the same methods that got them into trouble in the first place. Winners, on the other hand, use every setback and disappointment as an opportunity to learn and grow so they can move forward towards their goals. So keep watching until the end of this video and find out why most people fail and how you will succeed in life. Now listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Although we all want to reach our goal as quickly as possible, although we all dream about living a life filled with all the luxuries money can buy, although many of us think we know what we really want out of life, there is something you must do before even thinking about reaching your goal, and that is to identify your obstacle. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you to get this right. Because before you tackle your problem, you need to see it clearly. Take your time, think about your situation, and ask yourself, what exactly is stopping me from being successful? In fact, this is the #1 reason why most people fail in life. They try to take action before knowing their obstacle clearly. As a matter of fact, there are 4 things that most people never understand when it comes to dealing with their problems. First thing they fail to understand is the true nature of their obstacle. Let me explain what I mean. For example, imagine you're trying to build muscle strength and you go to the gym to lift weights. You struggle to lift the weight, but after a few times you successfully lift the weight up. After a few weeks of doing this exercise, you start to notice results. You become stronger. Your muscles become larger. So then you decide to focus on another body part and start doing bicep curls. Again, at first you struggle to lift the weights, but after a few tries you get it right and eventually your biceps start to grow. However, after a couple of months of doing only bicep curls and neglecting all other body parts, you notice that your shoulders become very weak and start to shrink. Eventually, if you continue to only do biceps curls and nothing else, you might even lose the muscle strength you gained in the beginning. Why did this happen? It happened because you only focused on one thing at a time and failed to see the bigger picture. This is also the case with most people. They usually ignore the big picture and only focus on one aspect of their lives at a time. You see, focusing solely on one thing may work in the short term, but when you don't consider the bigger picture and only focus on one part of your life, you will fall behind in other areas. Therefore, the first step to succeeding is to make sure you fully understand the true nature of your obstacle, which leads me to my next point, and that is that most people never develop resilience. Listen, you will never succeed in life if you only focus on the good days. The truth is that every successful person has experienced their fair share of failure. The only difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people have developed the ability to bounce back quickly after a failure and keep moving forward. On the other hand, unsuccessful people dwell on their failures and never learn from their mistakes. So if you want to increase your chances of success, you must train yourself to become resilient. And here is how you can do that. First, when you experience a setback, take some time off to reflect on what went wrong. Second, take responsibility for your actions. Third, forgive yourself and move on. Moving on to the third point, and that is most people never embrace failure as a stepping stone to success. I want you to remember this quote for the rest of your life. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Here's the brutal reality: everyone falls down in life. No matter how hard you try, everyone will experience a failure at some point in their life. There is no such thing as a person who has never experienced a failure. Now, of course, you might think you haven't experienced any failure yet, but trust me, if you live long enough, you will. So now you have 2 options. Either you choose to accept this reality and prepare for the future, or you choose to deny the reality and suffer later. Remember, failure is not the opposite of success. In fact, failure is a stepping stone to success. If you want to achieve great things in life, you must first learn to accept failure as part of the journey. Which brings me to the 4th point. Most people never persist when facing difficulties. When faced with difficulty, there are 2 types of reactions, one from the mind and one from the heart. The reaction from the mind tells you to run away. It tells you to give up because things are too difficult. On the other hand, the reaction from your heart tells you to stay and fight. It tells you to keep going no matter how hard it gets. Now, obviously, your mind will always try to protect you. That is its job. So it will always tell you to give up when things get difficult. However, if you want to succeed in life, you must listen to your heart. Remember, giving up is the easy way out, but staying and fighting is the brave way. So the next time you face a challenge, close your eyes, listen to your heart, and take action. Finally, let me add this. The people you surround yourself with will either inspire you to be better or drag you down. Now listen, the people you spend the most time with will either help you become a better person or make you feel miserable about yourself. That is just how human brains are wired. Think about it. When you hang around positive people, you will start to feel positive yourself. On the other hand, when you hang around negative people, you will start to feel negative. Therefore, if you want to succeed in life, you must surround yourself with the right people. The right people are those who inspire you to become a better version of yourself. On the other hand, the wrong people are those who bring you down and make you feel bad about yourself. So if you want to succeed, make sure you cut off all the wrong people from your life. In conclusion, remember this: winners use every setback and disappointment as an opportunity to learn and grow. Losers, on the other hand, let life pass them by again because they are still holding on to the same beliefs and using the same methods that got them into trouble in the first place. So now I want to ask you a question. Which type of person do you want to be? Do you want to be a winner or do you want to be a loser? Honestly, the decision is completely up to you. However, whatever you decide, make sure you are prepared to deal with the consequences. Now, if you want to win in life, you must first understand the difference between winners and losers. Winners take responsibility for their actions, while losers blame others for their failures. Winners control their emotions, while losers let their emotions control them. Winners have a clear vision, while losers are always changing their goals. Winners are disciplined, while losers are always making excuses. Winners believe in themselves, while losers are full of self-doubt. Winners learn from their mistakes, while losers repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Winners focus on solutions, while losers are stuck in the problem. Winners think outside the box, while losers always follow the crowd. Winners are persistent, while losers give up at the first sign of trouble. Winners learn from others, while losers are too proud to learn from anyone. Winners serve others, while losers think only about themselves. Winners expect to win, while losers expect to lose. Now, I don't want to scare you, but the truth is that 99% of people in this world are losers. This is because they lack one of the most important qualities a human being can ever have, and that is the courage to be themselves. The majority of people are afraid to be themselves. They are afraid of what others might think of them. So instead of being genuine, they put on a fake personality and pretend to be someone they are not. And guess what happens as a result? That they never achieve anything worthwhile in life. However, if you want to achieve your goals, you must be willing to do something that most people are not willing to do. You must be willing to go against the current and swim upstream. Trust me, it will not be easy. There will be times when you feel like giving up. But if you really want to succeed, you must keep going. You must be willing to sacrifice your time, energy, and resources to achieve your goals. And most importantly, you must be willing to be yourself, even if it means going against the current. So ask yourself, are you willing to do what it takes to be successful? If your answer is yes, then I want you to take a moment to appreciate yourself. You are one of the rare individuals who have the potential to achieve greatness. Now, of course, achieving greatness is not easy. It requires a lot of hard work, dedication, and perseverance. But if you're willing to put in the work, there's no doubt that you will achieve your goals. Remember, you're not like the other 99% of people. You are different. You have the ability to achieve your dreams. All you have to do is believe in yourself and have the courage to be yourself. By the way, if you want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love. Until next time.